everyone, back to the tippy top, well, the 19th floor of Mount Manitoba, where I am here with, well, I should introduce myself. I'm Kirk Buchner. I co-own, along with the individual this side of me, this side. If you're watching this, then you can see that I'm pointing. Yes, I'm with Stupid. No,
The scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz here.
there you go. Which way did he go? It's with Evan Nolan. And we own notinhallofame.com, the fictitious athlete Hall of Fame, the fictitious rock and roll Hall of Fame, and the United States Athletic Hall of Fame, our favorite project. And you can vote on that right now, this spring/summer soon. We're going to be making a big announcement on that based on your votes, because you're going to be voting on who is going to be the first class of the United States Athletic Hall of Fame. It is something where pure democracy does work.
100%.
Notinhallofame.com/USA. And we couldn't do this without the support of our fine sponsor, BetStamp. BetStamp is, hey, if you're betting right now, and now's a pretty good time to bet because it's March Madness. And if you're like me, you need the help of BetStamp. I didn't use all the proper tools, Evan, and I lost again. Because you know what? I wanted to be cute. And I wanted to bet on oral. Hey, winning, wasn't that funny? We bet on oral.
This is my shocked face for both of them.
Yeah. But I really did do that.
You should have bet on a 16 seed that didn't even win its conference title or conference tournament, man.
Well, I did win with Princeton.
Oh, good.
So I mean, I took that. I mean, it wasn't completely all losses.
It's so nice for a school like Princeton just to be all these plucky underdogs who never going to get anywhere in life with that degree.
But it always feels like the Ivy League winner always gets to the second round. So that's just why I did that one. That's true. I did that. I just went with a bunch of other underdogs either way. But if I would have done everything that I could have done with BetStamp, I could have I did line shop with my Princeton one. Not that it would have mattered because they won the game. I had them to cover. But if you are a serious bettor, or even if you're a casual bettor, this is the thing for you. You see these commercials every day if you're watching sports. You name the betting app, right? Caesars, Bet888, Canada, Cool Bets. There's more piles upon piles, and you want to make the best bet possible. I'm going to make some bets come the preseason for NFL, and I already know I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do. I'm gonna lay down money on each of the biggest underdogs on every division to win it.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna line shop, and that's what BetStamp allows you to do. So BetStamp, so whatever books that you're using, you just put in the bet that you want to do, and you're gonna see all those ones come sort of to life. And if there's one that's sort of like better, obviously you're gonna take that one because you want to maximize your output. If you're not a great bettor like me, I suck at it. There's experts who you can follow. If you're a great bettor like Evan, you know, he still might look at some of the experts. But Evan beating me is sort of like being the nicest guy in prison. It's not that hard.
I own you like the Bruins own the Winnipeg Jets. So
really? Do we have to do that?
No, but I felt like it. Anyway, what's the promo code?
Oh, yes. The promo code is Buck25. Oh, look at that. Buck25. Buck25, just so that you can help support us and all the fine work that we're doing here. Buck25, because I'm the Buck, and 25 is half my age.
Yes, that is half your age.
Yes, it is.
It's literally half your name and half your age.
It's not literally half my name.
I guess we'd only have like the top part of the K. So
that's all. Well, yeah, I guess true. Like more of the K and the H, but yes, let's not confuse anyone. Buck25 with a K.
Yeah.
So we do have a bit of Hall of Fame related news. Anderson Silva yesterday was announced as the next inductee for the UFC Hall of Fame. There is no one who can dispute this.
No. Anderson Silva, I know nothing about MMA, and I know that this is the correct call.
Oh, absolutely. So he's going in the pioneer wing. I don't know how he's not necessarily modern. I still don't quite understand this, but whatever. He still holds the record for 16 consecutive wins in UFC, and that's damn hard to do.
Yeah, and it said he held the middleweight title for 2,547 days, which also seems like a very hard thing to do. 2006 to 2013.
Yeah, he is the greatest middleweight of all time. Also, probably the owner of the most gruesome injury of all time.
Yeah.
If you sort of saw that happen, I don't need to repeat that here, but
I know it happened.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So congratulations to Anderson Silva. This is a no-brainer and just an outstanding fighter in every discipline, in every way, shape in the world.
Yeah, my only question is, I don't get. So he's like basically left UFC in 2020, right?
Mhm.
And he's getting inducted. He's 47. I get all that, but how is he like? Uh, I
The
guess some
pioneer?
yeah pioneer. I don't get how
I
that works.
don't know.
Okay,
Uh,
good. I mean, we can't do anything straightforward in any of the halls of fame, so it's good
well,
that they took like just a random category.
at least it makes more sense than the next Hall of Fame,
Okay,
which is the
well,
WWE Hall of Fame,
that
which
is true.
is voted on by really nobody, decided on by, we think, just Vince McMahon.
Mhm.
Uh, Never has a pattern into when they start announcing things. WrestleMania is only 2 weeks, actually 13 days from when we're recording this, and we only have two possibilities.
Mhm.
One time when they did sort of the legacy wing, they did it the day of, or actually during the ceremony. So you
Mhm.
didn't even know that was happening. We don't know who else is going in. The only thing we know is there's two great ones coming in, right, Winnie? Yes, Winnie's here. Winnie the Jet. Uh, and that's Rey Mysterio Jr., who is still an active competitor, but he's near 50 or is 50. Uh, Most important wrestler, I think, ever under 200 pounds.
Okay. Like I said, wrestling is my thing, but even I know who Rey Mysterio Jr. is, and I have seen him do stuff. So
Yeah.
that's one of those ones like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, colossal trailblazer. Still, he's going to probably be, looks like they haven't booked it, but they will. So he's going to have like a very high profile match against his son.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's
So,
a LeBron Bronny thing ahead of time, huh?
well, yes, but Bronny didn't go to LeBron's house and then wreck Thanksgiving and then wreck Christmas. That just happened to be in front of cameras that followed him around.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
They'll work on that later. That'll be the decision too.
Well, that would make, well, not that the NBA needs any sort of help in marketing. They know what they're doing.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that's what we've got going on there. Conan, one of his best friends, will be inducting him, not Conan the Barbarian. I don't know if you know Conan the wrestler,
I
but
don't.
okay, he was pretty big in WCW, and he's a legend in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
And pretty much the guy who promoted Mysterio because to get into WCW. Because when you look at him, all right, I tower over him, and I'm 5'8".
Isn't Conan O'Brien in the WWE Hall of Fame like
He
celebrity
is
wise?
not.
Oh, okay, I thought he was.
He's not. But I no. Drew Carey is for his one appearance.
Hmm.
Actually, I will say that someone who should be in. If you want to go, I'm veering off, but I think of all talk shows, Regis Philbin. He was
He
always great
needs
to the
more
wrestlers.
exposure.
But yeah, he did, unfortunately. But he was always great to the wrestlers. He loved wrestling. Whenever he had the wrestlers on, he actually knew what the hell he was talking about. And he was actually a guest commentator in WrestleMania 7. A lot more qualified than
Oh,
most of the people, most of the celebrities they put in there.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take it up with Vince next time I see him.
Okay. Yeah, you do that. How you doing, pal? And
Why
the
do
other
you
one,
hate Notre Dame?
and the other one, and we did a talk beforehand. Who you said you're not familiar with. That's the
Mhm.
Great Muta. And as you may have guessed, he's from Japan. He is probably one of the most influential wrestlers in terms of style and what you see going on. He started wrestling in 1984. Never actually wrestled one match in WWE, not one, nothing under their umbrella. But when he was he was in the American mainstream for a couple from 1989 to 1991 with WCW. No one ever saw anybody like him, including myself when I was watching back then. Uh, there was really just phenomenal wrestler, beloved. A lot of WWE fans sort of hoped that at one point he would have just appeared, made one appearance there, and he would have been one of those guys that the fans would have known exactly who he was, like
Mhm.
how he appeared. So I don't know that I necessarily have a problem with it, but it also sort of blurs the
Odd.
lines as to how you get in and whatnot. But I mean, like he just officially
No, no,
retired. Like
I
I
was
don't
just the
even
lines aren't blurred.
know what
I was
lines.
just saying the lines aren't blurred. You're breaking up here, so I don't know
Oh,
if we're talking over each other. I apologize.
no, good. I was just saying you were saying that the lines are blurred, but I was saying like I don't even know what lines they are. So whatever.
I mean, the lines aren't blurred. It's always Vince McMahon, whatever he feels like, is what the
exactly.
lines are. So.
But I'm not even sure that Vince even knows who Muda is because he never seemed to watch any other product other than his own. So I think sometimes he's just trying to fill a quota. So he probably said to someone, "Get me a Japanese guy, pal." And well, Muda's one of the biggest name out there, and he's alive.
That helps.
Because it does help because there's a lot of people that he could sort of do that did sort of compete for him in some capacity like years ago, but or they're dead or they're not even a name. Muda's a name to the wrestling world. So I don't know who's going to be inducting him. Could be Flair, which could be awkward. I don't know. Hopefully he does this one sober.
Why start now?
Yeah. Well, of course, you're probably thinking I should talk, but anyway. But yeah, so that's the Hall of Fame related news. Anyway, and before we sort of get on to those we've lost, I just wanted to like talk about how much I've been loving the World Baseball Classic. Last time I was ragging, and I meant every word I said, that how Italy and Israel should not be in there because it's not really Italians and they're not really Israelis. Definitely not really Israelis. But they're out, so I don't have to worry about that. And I hated being in that position to have to cheer against those two countries. Hated it. But I did. If you've been watching, and I don't know who hasn't been, this has been a lot of fun. The fans have been a lot of fun.
I can tell you 60% of the population of Puerto Rico has been watching. It's the highest television programming in the history of Canada and Puerto Rico. 60% of television sets in Puerto Rico are watching this.
Okay. And I know there were 63 million people who watched Japan versus South Korea. So this means a lot to these countries, except for the United States. And I'd say I'll throw Canada in there as well. Because like I had to beg people to put that on when I was trying to watch that, like one of the day games against Colombia. So it's not ingrained in our DNA, but it means more to the people of the Dominican Republic. You ask them, they'll tell you. The players will say they'd rather win a WBC than a World Series. Why does that not translate in the United States? And I think a lot of that is just for issues that we've been talking about, how baseball is just not fun. But these are the guys who are making it fun. You mentioned before that your young son has no interest in baseball. Probably because it seems pretty boring.
Taking the games.
Yeah. Right. And he's not alone. So like when they were talking before about how come there's not a lot of young black kids into it anymore. It's not that there's no de-elevation of great African American black athletes. There's piles of them. They're just doing other things. Because it's not cool. But these guys from those countries, they make it cool. I like the swagger. Keep this up. Yeah, maybe if you're a traditionalist, it sucks. Maybe it's sort of like you always say, like act like you've been there before. But what if you're like Fernando Tatis and you have been there before? Just these are the people that are going to raise the elevation, and it's going to be all from non-Americans that will make baseball cool again in the United States. My words, if you let them.
Yeah, I mean the whole traditionalist way of doing things that we've had with baseball, like there's a right way to do things. You prance in my home run, or when you hit a home run, I'm going to drill you with the next pitch. The Bob Gibson way of doing things has its place, I suppose, but needs to go away.
And it very much, and it has been slowly. So it's the same thing. So like, what's the best thing you can do? Strike this guy out the next time out, and then mock him.
100%. Yeah, I mean, we talk Joey Bats, right? The ultimate bat flip, and people talk about how it's not the right way to do things. Like, baseball should not be a joy. Baseball's become accountancy in sports. It's where keeping track of numbers in the most boring way possible, and any joy needs to be sucked out of the game. Like, can you imagine if we had the rules for touchdown celebrations that we had for home run celebrations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
I know we have some rules of touchdown celebrations. You can't bring a prop, and I get that sort of thing. But like some of the best stuff that happens in baseball. I mean,
Mhm.
football. Like
Right.
baseball's taking away the coolest thing you can do is steal a base, hit a home run. Like actually, the coolest play in sports in baseball is probably the trip, because you're just like they happen so rarely, and you
Mhm.
have no idea if this person's going to make it, and it's super exciting. I guess the inside the park home run would be even more interesting, but there aren't that many of those, right?
I like
So
stealing home.
yeah, stealing home, like
Yeah.
sacrifice. They've done a bunch of things this year. I'm actually be interested to see how this baseball season goes.
Mhm.
Uh, the games are faster with the pitch
Mhm.
clock. Of course, we're going to have some problem where someone's going to get strike three, and the World Series is going to end that way somehow, and somewhere Dan Shaughnessy's going to pull out the rest of his curly hair. But like,
He does have a bit
uh,
of an Art Garfunkel thing going on for him, doesn't he?
he, I, Dan Shaughnessy last night asked Jaylen Brown if he still supported Kanye West, and Jaylen Brown refused to answer, and now he's trying to make it a big deal today. Like, he's like, I'm not gonna. He's like, I'm not gonna touch that. And just what's the next question? Like, what advantage is there to Jaylen Brown answering that question one way or the other during the middle of the season after they lost a tough game to the Jazz last night? Like, what possible upside is there to saying yes or no to that question either way?
To quote Dean Wormer when he gave Bluto his grade point average, 0.0.
Yeah, there's no adventure, but of course now he's making himself a martyr and some great, journalistic person for this stupid.
I,
I hate hate
I
saying
hate
it.
that guy, and
Great,
I'm not even in Boston.
like he's stupid. He's become like a race baiter. He just has, and like he's going out of his way. Jason Tatum missed a basketball game because he wanted to be there for his son's birthday.
Mhm.
Right, one game out of 82 he missed. He's because he wanted to be for his son's birthday, and he talked about how he's not committed to the team, his priorities aren't straight, and just like he just does it with every African American player in all the sports, and he needs to stop.
Well,
Anyway, there's my smorgasbord right there.
yeah.
Shut up, curly haired boyfriend. Where were we
Well,
before?
I was just going to say, just to point that out, because I was talking to somebody just again at my local watering hole. I'll plug that local watering hole. It's called Lake of the Woods, and I'm going to take Evan there. And they've got
Okay.
3 locations, one right in downtown Winnipeg, right literally steps from my place, and they allow, and sometimes you might see Winnie because they don't serve food there. So Winnie's allowed to go there, right, Winnie? Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And Jasper was the official mascot. Um, but because he went to go to drive to Minnesota to see a game, and he's not really into basketball that much. And he said, I don't understand why Harden wasn't playing because they were against Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can't think of it like hockey. You know, the big player in basketball means a lot more than the big player in hockey. It just does. You've got 11 people. Really, only 7 of them are relevant. And when you're top, you've got to rest your top guy throughout. So Brown probably was already going to get a day rest anyway. That doesn't bother me
Tatum.
based on the modern thinking of resting your players for when you need it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they got to do the season maybe two. I don't know. There's the old guys are like, we played on with terrible shoes and awful things. Like, yeah, you did. And
Would you
congratulations.
rather not?
These guys don't have to do that anymore. But I hate to tell you, defense is a lot harder now than it used to be. I know everyone goes with the 80s, but clotheslining is not defense. Right?
I suppose it is not. But yeah, okay, so this went a little bit longer. I don't know who got from WBC to
Bill Lambier and the
yeah.
curly hair boyfriend.
Oh, well, all good. But we lost a few people this
We
week.
did. We did. Hold on one second here. Oh, by the way, who do you have before we get there? Who do you have in the semifinals? We have Cuba, United States, and then we have today Mexico, Japan, tomorrow.
I'd say Cuba, Japan.
Cuba, Japan.
I mean, I'm cheering. I don't know who I'm really cheering for. I don't have any dislike for any of these countries. I think I'm cheering for the United States because I want your country to care more about this tournament. But at the same time, the fact that they don't goes against my rule that whenever my team, in this case being Canada, is out, I always cheer for the country where it means the most. So who would that be in this case? And I have to say Cuba.
Yeah, 100% Cuba. Well, here's
So,
the thing. I no offense to Cuba. I hope the U.S. beats Cuba, but it would not bother me that much if we lost in the final to Mexico or Japan, and that was
really,
hanging over our heads because some of these naysayers were like, "This is the worst thing ever," which are all white dudes. Are like
okay.
the couple guys from Barstool just went off on how stupid
Oh,
and
oh.
everything else this is. I hope that we make it to the finals, and I wouldn't mind if we lost it to one of those countries who could then hold it over our heads that Japan's actually better at baseball than the United States.
I think this hopefully is opening up a lot of people's eyes in terms of what the Japanese baseball league really is at this point. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's, I think, a lot better than high AAA. That was a fair assessment years ago. I don't know that that's the case anymore, right, Winnie? Winnie, did you want to jump in here and say something about Japan's baseball team? No, okay,
All right. All right. Well, let's go into this here.
sure.
That. All right. So we're gonna start with. I have too many tabs open. Okay. So we're gonna start with I'm just gonna start with an actor who I really loved in pretty much everything he ever did, who died suddenly on St. Patrick's Day, Lance Reddick,
Mm-hmm.
who was in The
Right after.
Wire. I actually have never seen The Wire all the way through. I've seen parts
Yeah.
of it. I've never actually. I need. That's one of those things I need to do at some point. But bigger for me was his role as Chief Irving in Bosch, which is a great show. If you guys haven't seen Bosch, I highly recommend it.
I've seen a bit of that when I was at my dad's. He really liked that one. He was also
Yeah.
in Oz, if I remember correctly.
Yep. And John Wick and
Mm-hmm.
Fringe and a whole bunch of other stuff. But like he also most recently on my Judge the Dragon show that I watched and went to go see live,
Mm-hmm.
they have a couple of cartoon versions now on Amazon Prime, and he was the voice of the main bad guy from season 2.
Okay, I could see. Yeah, yeah. If he didn't become a great actor, he definitely have had voice actor written all
Yeah.
over him.
So he was the voice of Thordak the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it sucks. There's one of those ones like someone dies, they're like, no. Like it said on Twitter's trending R.I.P. King. I'm like, so who passed away this time? And I was like, Lance Reddick, this has to be some sort of like internet hoax thing. And that was my immediate thought. I had
What
to
I
examine.
didn't understand though, Evan, why King? Did he play a role of a king or something? Or
Or I mean, just people really liked him. I don't know, but
okay, yeah.
it's real
And
sad.
for
Real
anyone
sad.
listening, and you think, well, I don't know who this guy is. Yeah, you do. Google him
Yeah,
and
you
then
do.
say like,
hundred
oh
percent
yeah,
you do.
yeah,
100% you do.
yes, for sure.
So yeah, just one of those ones like that somewhat hurt me physically. Like I felt
Oh,
like pain when I
mhm.
found out that Lance passed away. So
Maybe
rest
because
in peace.
also too, like I don't know how old he was, but he sure did. He was 60. Okay, built like a tank, So like you don't think that
Yeah,
there's anything wrong with him. And I
no.
should like a tank, just like he was lean, ripped.
Super, super in shape, like
Yeah.
looked way younger than he was. Like I don't know.
Here's a conspiracy theorist, but
Well, speaking of
no.
conspiracy theorists, on the other side of things,
Oh,
another actor passed away. I'll just say Robert Blake died at the age of 89. Um,
oh, wow.
it was a big day for a big week for murderers, by the way. Also passing away was
Sorry.
we had like several serial killers. Nick Calabrese passed away, the guy who brought down the Chicago mob, the hitman for the Chicago mob who brought everyone down, passed away at 80. And then we have another one when we get to the music section who also passed away. We'll come up to.
Okay.
Also, someone else interesting I thought we should bring up, Gloria D passed away. She was the first ever magician to perform in the Las Vegas Strip
Oh,
in 1941 at the age of 19, which is kind of interesting. She then went on to be in a whole bunch of B movies, such as King of the Congos, Plan 9 from Outer Space, and a few other things like that. She She was the first person to both perform on the strip and have her SAG-AFTRA card as well. But she passed away at the age of 100.
Wow.
So,
But
and
she had
also,
stories.
yeah, also passing away at the age of 100 was Burt Gordon. Speaking of B movies, the guy who created King Dinosaur, The Amazing Colossal Man, Earth vs. the Spider, Village of the Giants, Empire of the Ants. Basically, if you've watched Mystery Science 3000, you are a fan of Burt Gordon's stuff, at least the people talk about. He also passed away at the age of 100. From the world of one other person I missed last week, Ian Falconer also passed away. If you have any kids and you know the Olivia book series, the Olivia and the Pig, he was the creator and illustrator of those. He was 63. From wrestling, Jeff Gaylord. Leave that to you. He was 64.
Yeah, I know he wrestled a lot in the early '90s and the in the Tennessee, Dallas area. Looked like somebody who probably should have made it because he was pretty big, like in terms of size. But I think he had like one WWE match where he was under a mask as one of Shawn Michaels' knights in
Yes, the
Survivor
Black
Series.
Knight.
Yes, that was it. For whatever reason, I guess they weren't that impressed. Didn't it was a weird angle because Shawn Michaels substituted for Jerry Lawler, I believe, because he was accused of uh, being with a 13-year-old,
Oh, good.
which he eventually got off of. But I don't know. When Jerry Lawler passes away, there's going to be a lot of things, a lot of mud slung his way. I can't say that it's not and some of it we might hear shit but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, just one of those big guys who I thought would have got a look but never did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, he fell on to robbing banks in Colorado. So,
oh, I didn't know that.
Had some time in jail for that.
Did he use his Black Knight mask?
I do not see that.
Should...
He robbed a bank in Aurora, Colorado in October 2021. Or sorry, 2001, excuse me. Of $5,000. And he robbed the same bank in February. But he parked right out in front and they got his license plate number.
Wrestlers are really stupid when it comes to robbing banks. There was this hardcore wrestler guy named Nick Gage. He robbed a bank, but he always would walk to the ring with a bandana, like there. Yeah, he decided not to do that this time. So when he knew he was going to get caught, he just took the money he had, just went to Atlantic City, blew it all, then turned himself in.
Fair enough. Sometimes you do it for the experience.
Sure. Pass. I don't need it.
So we have we're into the Olympian section this week. Oh, by the way, the Beige Mistress are quiet this week.
So, okay, good.
Hungarian athletes slept soundly. But for Olympic athletes, we'll start with Amy Fuller, American rower, 3-time Olympian and 1-time world record holder. Finalist for the James E. Sullivan Award, we've talked about a bunch back in 1995. She was finished with a silver medal in Barcelona, but competed in 92, 96, and 2000. Passed away from breast cancer at the age of 54. Also passing away at the age of 81, Kevin Freeman, an American equestrian who was at 64, 68, and 72, won silvers in all 3 Olympics in team eventing. So Tokyo, Mexico City, Munich. He also won a gold in the 1963 Pan American Games. But he passed away at the age of 81. Also, modern pentathlete, also passed away at the age of 100. Guy Troy, competed in the 1952 Summer Olympics, passed away at the age of 100. Graduated the Marine Corps, spent his time in, graduated in 1946, just missed World War II, and then went into doing all those weird events that you do at the pentathlon. He was 100 years old. But most importantly, I'd say from actually probably legendary out of the Olympics, Dick Fosbury passed away.
Yeah.
Inventor of the Fosbury flop.
Yeah. I think a lot of people just hear that name, but they don't quite know why. But
Mm-hmm.
prior to Fosbury, when they were doing the high jump, they were just trying to literally just run over top of it like you're running over a tackler.
Yeah, they started with hurdling, and then sometimes they do like a jump front flip thing. I watched like a when he passed away, there was a video on YouTube of like the record jumps from each Olympics,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh, that's all right, that's impressive, but stupid way of getting over. And like, and Fosbury came up, and you could see the first time he did it, one of the judges in the background just opens his mouth
Mm-hmm.
like couldn't believe A, he cleared it, and B, the way he was doing it. So there are very few people who have ever legitimately outright changed their sport. Dick Fosbury 100% changed his sport.
And changed it literally 100%.
Change it one night, or at least I don't know if you go 180 one way and then 180 the 90 degrees the other way. Is that 270? I'm not quite sure how that works in
Well,
three-dimensional
that's
space.
how he contorted his body. It was amazing that no one ever did this before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
absolutely, we compete in '68, I believe, right?
68, correct. Won the gold medal in the high jump in 68.
Yeah. He's someone who definitely will be considering in the future for the U.S. Hall.
100%. Yeah,
Mm.
he's got to be up there going there. He actually was most recently serving as the Blaine County Commissioner in Blaine County, Idaho,
Mm.
when he passed away. But yeah, he passed away at the age. He's a member of the National Track and Field Hall of Fame,
Mm-hmm.
but he passed away at the age of 96. Sorry, 76. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. From the world, we'll go through music now. First one, I told you we had a lot of people kill people. Jim Gordon passed away. Jim Gordon, at the age of 77, best known for his work as session drummer in the 60s, but was a drummer for Derek and the Dominoes and co-wrote Layla with Eric Clapton. He was also worked with, he was also the drummer in I Am Woman by Helen Reddy. He was on the Beach Boys Pet Sounds album, the Notorious Bird Brothers by the Byrds, Classical Gas with Mason Williams, like, and a whole bunch of stuff you knew. Unfortunately, he developed schizophrenia and stabbed his mother to death with a kitchen knife, and spent the last part of his life in jail. He refused to show up for he pled insanity, but the California had changed their insanity laws, so you couldn't actually plead it at the time. So he ended up with a life sentence and stopped showing up for the parole hearings, not wanting to be paroled.
Mm.
But he passed away at the age of 77.
Mm.
Also passing away, Simon Emerson, the founding member of Afro Celt Sound System, their main singer. Afro Celt Sound System, best known for their song "When You're Falling," which Peter Gabriel actually sang the lead on. He passed away at the age of 67, one day after his birthday. But one of the Celtic African jazz fusion type groups, pretty much what Peter Gabriel believes in for his backing band. That's what Afro Celt Sound System was. But he was 67. Also, one of the few people who was considered himself to be a druid, which was interesting. Like he was like one with nature and had whatever powers, which I guess makes sense based on what he was doing. So, also passing away, Gerald Lawrence Samuels, better known as Napoleon the 14th. He had a one-hit wonder top 5 hit with "They're Coming to Take Me Away," haha.
Funny Farm, yes.
That one, yes. He in 1966, he also wrote "The Shelter of Your Arms," which is a top 20 hit for Sammy Davis Jr. He passed away at the age of 84. We also lost Junior English, the reggae artist based out of both Kingston and London. He passed away either at the age of 71 or 72. He never actually knew where his birth certificate was, and nobody was quite sure. It's like literally says that. So he's either 71 or 72 years old. And then we lost two pretty big names from music this week. We'll start with Bobby Caldwell, who is a singer. Next Time I Fall, which he wrote by Amy Grant and Peter Cetera. He's one of the most sampled artists out there by hip hop and R&B artists. There was a huge outpouring when he passed away. He did What You Won't Do for Love, which is, of course, the first version of Meatloaf's I Would Do Anything for Love, but I won't do that. Just kidding. But he had a whole bunch of hits from 76 through like mid 80s, including Take Me, I'll Follow You from the Mac and Me soundtrack, if you ever saw Mac and Me.
I did.
Yeah, just one of the kind of American standard songbook singers, passed away at the age of 71. There was a huge outpouring on Twitter when he passed. Blue-eyed soul, American songbook type guy. And then the one that affected me the most in music this week, Fuzzy Haskins died. The original singer of a little doo-wop group called the Parliaments, you may have heard of, whose record label went under, and then they stopped wearing suits and started wearing whatever the hell they wanted, got a backing band called the Funkadelic, and became P-Funk. So Fuzzy Haskins, best known for wearing, I guess I will say, mesh covering on like almost mesh overalls on stage. Best way to say it. It's just funny to think that the George Clinton and P-Funk All-Stars, or Parliament Funkadelic, started as a barbershop quintet in Plainfield, New Jersey. But yes, Fuzzy Haskins was the original lead singer of that group and was with the group from 1955 through, what do you leave? I think 78 he left. 77. At the height of their thing, he went to do a solo career. He was inducted with 15 other members of Parliament Funkadelic back in 97. Got a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Grammys in 2019. But yeah, so one of the, I still say the single greatest concert I ever saw was George Clinton, the P-Funk All-Stars at Bender Arena in at American University in probably March of 97.
You've mentioned this before, that concert.
Yeah. What?
You've mentioned that concert before.
Those guys are so freaking good at everything they do. Like every single person up there is a virtuoso. It's absolutely insane how good that band is. We watch them live. But yeah, so Clarence Eugene Haskins, Fuzzy Haskins, has passed away at the age of 81. From golf, we lost Jim Furyk, who is at the age of 91. He was a one-time winner on the PGA Tour, 2 times on the Champions Tour. More interestingly, he's the logo. So the Senior Tour has the logo of the guy in the knickers.
Yeah,
that is Jim Furyk.
Okay.
So he won PGA Tour. He won the 1958 Vancouver Open Invitational by a 1-stroke over Billy Casper. So he won 86 the Greater Grand Rapids Open and 91 the Bell Atlantic Classic over Jim Colbert and Lee Trevino, by the way. But yeah, he passed away at the age of 91. From basketball, we lost Felton Spencer at the age of 55. 6th pick overall in the 1990 draft, the Derek Coleman draft. Played from 90 to 2002 with the T-Wolves, Jazz, Magic, Warriors, Spurs, and Knicks. Second team All-NBA as a rookie. Only scored about 5.2 points a game in his career. One of the guys who shares my birthday. He's was exactly 11 years older than me. Yeah, but a kind of an interesting guy to watch, both in high school and in college.
Well, 12-year career is nothing to sneeze at. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Well, 12-year career is nothing to sneeze at.
No. Yeah. So played at the University of Louisville, was the heir apparent to Purvis, Never Nervous Ellison. But yeah, just one of those ones like, oh, Felton Spencer, that's too young.
Mhm.
So, we only have baseball and football left to go. So baseball, the youngest of the first trio of the Alous, Jesus Alou, passed away at the age of 80. Younger brother Felipe and Maddie played for from 63 to 79 for the Giants, Astros, A's, Mets, and Astros again. Two-time World Series champion with the A's in 73 and 74. He was awarded the Hispanic Heritage Baseball Museum Hall of Fame Pioneer Award back in 2008. Served after retired as a scout for the Expos and Marlins, and then with the Red Sox from 2002 through 2017. And had been an ambassador to the U.S. To the Red Sox International Scouting Department through 2020. But he passed away at the age of 80. That Alou family did pretty well for themselves in baseball.
Very much so.
And then passing away, Joe Pepitone passed away at the age of 82. One of those guys better known for his name and the teams he was on probably than his overall ability. But he played 62 through 73 for the Yankees, Astros, Cubs, Braves, and then played one season with the Yakult Adams out in Japan. Remember the 62 World Series Yankees team, all-star from 63 to 65, three-time Gold Glover.
Did he broadcast too, I think?
I did think he did. Also, had a really bad week when he was 17. So in 1957, one of his classmates shot him while at school, and then his father died of a stroke at the age of 39. On the same week. Yeah. Yeah, he he was also the minor league hitting coach with the Yankees, and was hitting coach for them in 82. And then he was arrested at some point. He was arrested. He and two other men ran a red light, were stopped by police, and found 9 ounces of coke, 344 Quaaludes, a freebasic kit, a pistol, and $6,300 in cash. But spent 4 months in Rikers Island for misdemeanor drug convictions. So, but anyway,
great last name.
Yeah, Pepitone's one of the best ones. So apparently, if you read Ball 4,
I have to read that.
I did. I remember him from that because Jim Bouton talked that he walked around the whole thing of hair product because he was losing his hair and everything. I feel like Pepitone would be a great name for a hair product.
Yeah.
So also one of the founding members of the American Pro Slow Pitch Softball League from the 70s and into 80s. So, but yeah, he passed away at the age of 82. All right, and finally, we're getting into football. We have some pretty big names here. Canadian Football Hall of Famer Glenn Weir passed away at the age of 71, played with the Montreal Alouettes and the Montreal Concords, which I never even heard of them. I didn't know they were a thing.
Well, they changed their name briefly to the Concords for some reason. I don't know why. I can't remember why. That happened in the early 80s. And then they did back.
Okay. Played in 5 Grey Cups, won 2, was the most valuable player in the Grey Cup in 1977, 5-time CFL All-Star, and elected in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in 2009. But he passed away at the age of 71. I will say as a player, but probably better known as an executive, Dick Haley passed away at the age of 85. Played for the Redskins, Vikings, and Steelers. But after he left the Steelers, he became the director of player personnel for the Steelers from 1971 through 1990, which was a pretty good time to pretty successful role, I would say, as the director of personnel for the Steelers.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
But he was played 75 games and had 14 interceptions as a player, but was 4-time Super Bowl champion as an executive with those 4 Steelers championships in the 70s. He's a member of the Pittsburgh Hall of Fame. He was the person who drafted Lynn Swann, Jack Lambert, John Stallworth, and Mike Webster in one draft.
That's got to be the greatest. I haven't really researched this, but I can't imagine there's a better draft for any team ever.
I can't imagine it's a better. No, I mean four Hall of Famers in a single draft. There are drafts that don't have four Hall of Famers in them.
Yeah,
So
that's very true.
yeah, so yeah, but he passed away at the age of 85. Also, the father, Todd Haley, who coached the Chiefs at one point. And then the two biggest names, guy who's been talked about for Hall of Fame but has never made it in, was actually one of the finalists coming into this year, Otis Taylor. Passed away at the age of 80. Remember the Chiefs from 65 to 75, won 2 AFL championships with them, was the AFL championship MVP in 69, won a Super Bowl with them, was the AFC player of the year according to UPI in 71, two-time Pro Bowler, two-time first team All-Pro, one-time first team All-AFL, one-time second team All-AFL, member of the Kansas City Chiefs Hall of Fame. His numbers have been dwarfed at this point with the explosion of everything. He's got 410 receptions for 7,300 yards and 57 touchdowns. But one of those guys who, I mean, the Chiefs don't win that Super Bowl without Otis Taylor.
Right.
So go ahead.
No, I was going to agree with you. A big name for a lot of people, big snub, but in the wrong position. I think. And you hit the nail on the head when you said just his numbers have been dwarfed. And if he doesn't become a senior candidate in the next 20 years, I don't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many people they're looking at. They need to keep the seniors where they are with the 3 in order to get this backlog out of there. But
hopefully they will, but we'll see.
It doesn't help that that the Professional Football Researchers Association named him to their Hall of Very Good in 2006.
Yeah, I don't think that helps anybody.
No.
So, I mean, I get their whole point, but and what they were trying to do, but maybe that name isn't necessarily the best thing for them. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that wasn't their initial intention.
Yeah.
But
so he was actually I do have to bring this up because it was so weird at the time. Do you remember his fight with Jack Del Rio?
No, I do not.
So in 1987, there was the NFL player strike, and Taylor was a scout for the Chiefs at that point, and he'd been retired from the Chiefs since 1975, right? So this is 1997 or 1987, 12 years later. Jack Del Rio, as a rookie, thought that he was a player crossing the picket lines and jumped him and was pummeling him and had to be separated by fans who were there telling him, "That's Otis Taylor. What the hell are you doing?" And Taylor actually pressed charges against Del Rio, but they settled out of court. I always thought that was an interesting story.
No, I didn't know about that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Just so you know a little more about Jack of the River there. But more importantly, I think with Taylor is that he just had Parkinson's disease for a very, very long time. And I guarantee we're going to find out that he had CTE.
He was also fighting dementia too at the end.
He had Parkinson's. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 1990. So I mean, we're talking 33 years later at this point, which is terrifying. That 1990 was 33 years ago.
Right.
But yeah, he passed away, like I said, at the age of 80. I mean, 33 years ago, he was only 47. So anyway, and lastly, the second oldest living Pro Football Hall of Famer and the oldest living NBA champion when he passed away, Bud Grant, passed away at the age of 95. Was drafted by both the Eagles and the Minneapolis Lakers. Played 2 years in Minneapolis Lakers. He was a member of their championship team in 1950. Then decided he didn't want to play basketball anymore because they weren't going to pay him. So he went to play for the Eagles. Was a member of their 19. I'm sorry. He went to play for the Eagles for a couple years. Then he was the first American player ever to who still let his contract, the NFL, run out and then go to Canada. And he played 4 years for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers before going into coaching. So he's actually a member of both the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. He was NFL champion in 69, coach of the year in 69, Minnesota Vikings Ring of Honor, 50 Greatest Vikings. He was also a 4-time Grey Cup champion. And CFL Coach of the Year in 1965.
Yeah. I mean, that's where he cut his teeth coaching, was up here.
Yeah. So, anything to say about Bud Grant?
No, just it was a really nice tributes coming out. RIP coach was the hashtag on Twitter that was sort of going on. That's sort of like I was sort of like learning about a lot of passings, unfortunately, these days. But no, very much deserving to be a Hall of Famer in both. There's very few that are in both the Canadian and American or Pro Football Hall of Fame. So no, just couldn't win the one Super Bowl, but I don't think that wasn't on Bud Grant. Just there was just so much talent against him.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Do you know who the last living person from who was born in the 1920s in the Pro Football Hall of Fame is?
No, I have no idea.
It's Marv Levy.
Okay.
Marv Levy's the last.
The funny thing is, I was just thinking about him because he's also in the Canadian and American.
He's also in both. Yeah. I was going to say, I thought about doing that. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure. But yeah, Marv Levy was born in 1925.
Okay.
And it's still going. So he's the last one. So.
See, and that just shows, just like if you look really old when you're 60, that's not a bad thing.
Yes. Steve Martin has had white hair for as long as I remember.
Oh, God. He must have been all whites before he turned 30.
Maybe. It's entirely possible.
Well, I mean, he was mostly already all white when he filmed The Jerk in 1977.
True. So, just by the way, the 10 oldest remaining Pro Football Hall of Famers are Marv Levy, Joe Schmidt, Gil Brandt, Raymond Berry, Lenny Moore, Sonny Jurgensen, Jerry Kramer, Jim Brown, Chuck Howley, and now Dick Vermeil. So, and then Tom Flores is next at 11. So,
okay.
Yeah. And who's the youngest Hall of Famer?
Calvin Johnson,
born in 1985. Darrell Revis is also born in 85, but Johnson was born in September and Revis in July. So,
okay. All right. I got one trivia question right. So,
I got one. Congratulations. All right. So, moving on from dead people, where are we?
We're at the elevator, where I look at a weekly thing of who's gone elevator up to make a better Hall of Fame case and who's gone elevator down.
Elevator up, elevator down.
If we would have recorded this Thursday like we normally do, I wouldn't have had anybody on the elevator. But someone entered the elevator going down. A very successful coach in his own right, but at some point you've got to get your team into a Final Four if you're going to get into a Basketball Hall of Fame, and that's Matt Painter, because. Again, going to Twitter, Purdue was trending again for the second year in a row. Purdue goes into the number 1 seed, loses to, I believe it was Fairleigh Dickinson.
Yeah, so can I take a pause on Fairleigh Dickinson just for 1 second?
Please.
So there are 363 teams in Division I currently, right? The tallest team in Division I is Purdue.
The tallest. Okay.
The tallest. Fairleigh Dickinson, I told you there are 363 teams in Division I. What, in terms of height, where do you think Fairleigh Dickinson ranks out of 363?
Well, I'm going to guess it's near at the lower end the way this is sort of going, so I'm going to say 342.
363.
Oh, 363.
They're the shortest team. They're the shortest team. Here's how unlikely it is if Fairleigh Dickinson gets there. My wife is like, they're not even fully Dickinson, they're just Fairleigh.
Okay, can I say that your wife wins the pun of the week?
Yeah, it was good. So, they didn't win their regular season championship or their conference title, and are still in there as in.
How do they qualify then?
Because Massachusetts used to have teams that were good at basketball, and we actually do have one who won their division regular season, won their tournament. Merrimack College, which is a new team in Division I. Won for the second year in a row, won both the regular season and the title, but there's a rule: you have to wait 4 years before you can get the tournament. So this was their 4th year.
That's
So they
stupid.
won. Yeah, it's very stupid. But they won their division. They won the Northeast Conference, which was the worst conference by a lot this year. Just by the way, they won the Northeast Conference, and they won on a last second shot. They won the conference title for the second year in a row, 67-66. I watched that game. So both teams were celebrating because Fairleigh Dickinson already knew they were in the tournament because whether they won or lost. So they the first small school not to win either conference title or regular season or tournament get in. They had to win the playing game. They're literally the 360. They're literally the last team in this tournament by far, the shortest team, and they still beat Purdue. Go back to Mr. Painter.
Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, this sums it up even better. Whenever you see somebody get into these halls and that you look, oh my God, look at all this win total. And well, they didn't win a title, but they at least took their team to a Final Four. Painter hasn't done that.
Yeah, like let's just take Virginia for a second.
Sure.
Virginia has lost to double-digit seeds in 2018. They lost in a 16 seed in 2018, the first team ever. Congratulations, Purdue, you joined Virginia. And then they've lost to 2 14 seeds now, right? But they have a national title in there.
But that changes everything. So even if it gets to a Final Four, right? It's still, yeah, but you lost here, you lost there, you lost there. You've underachieved in, from what I could tell, 7 tournaments under his watch. He has to do, I think, a lot more than just get to the Final Four at this point. He's got to get there a few times because he's got a lot of stink to wash off. In my opinion. So, I mean, he's an elevator down for either the College Basketball Hall of Fame or the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. I don't see how we can't be.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
100% makes sense.
Question before we go into your last section. My answer for this is no, so I'll tell that right now is, but do you think that American any performance in the WBC should have any relevancy to the Hall of Fame?
At the moment, the answer is no.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, basically, they that's not what they do. So there's no reason to start now. So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
It's unless they figure out a way so it doesn't look like a glorified preseason tournament to a lot of American folks, I don't think it's going to matter.
Okay. Because I think it was Brandon Nemo who said, like, when asked why he wasn't participating, he said, well, nothing I would do here is going to help me get into the Hall of Fame. I might be paraphrasing and I might even have the wrong player, but it was an American player who said that. So yeah, it just made me think of it. It is. Every time we hear the words Hall of Fame, our ears go, huh?
Yeah. And I mean, and Edwin Diaz got injured in the celebration and he's out for the year. And Jose Altuve got hit in the hand with a pitch yesterday by Daniel Bard, which seems familiar as a Red Sox fan. Daniel Bard hitting Jose Altuve with a pitch. But so he broke his hand and he's going to be out for a little bit. So there's going to be some backlash probably from teams about this. But yeah, I think for right now, the answer is no.
Okay, not fair enough. So we close off as always with Evan's good, bad, and ugly of sports.
Thank you, Ennio Morricone. We're going to start with the bad this week, just because it kind of ties in with what you're doing. And I'm going back to an idea that had been brought up before of just, separating out the major conferences and letting them have their own basketball tournament and have the minor conferences have their basketball tournament. College basketball has never been more exciting than it is right now. I know that we have the big teams that you're used to, maybe the 80s. And again, I was young in the 80s, but I remember Georgetown and St. John's and Syracuse and all those Big East ones battle it out. I was a Boston College fan, so we got our asses kicked. But regardless, those were fun times, and you knew everybody and everything along those lines. And so maybe it made a bigger difference when Georgetown almost lost in the first round, right? But right now, college basketball is as egalitarian as it's ever been right now. And the thing is, all these schools, for example, let's just take Arizona and Virginia, right? They both lost guys who were sophomores last year to the first 6 picks in the draft. And then those guys who would have helped them had they stuck around longer here. So we have a whole bunch of big schools who have 1 or 2 and done players up against squads that with the transfer window, you can be a 5th-year senior. You can play 4 years somewhere, play a 5th year as a grad student and keep going. Like the guys at Fairleigh Dickinson, 2 of them played together in Division II and transferred over this year when their coach came to be the new coach at Fairleigh Dickinson. Like it's talent versus consistency is where we're at this point. I think we're going to see more and more upsets in this tournament going forward when the consistency ends up winning out. I mean, we've already seen a 15 seed get to the second round, and we're filming this on Sunday morning, so we don't know what's happened with the second half of the round of 32 or the second round, whatever they call it. They need a better name for the round of 32. But so Princeton's already made it through, but there's no school more consistent in the way they play basketball.
How about this? How about this? If you got the Sweet 16, how about the legal 32?
Wow, I'm actually that's inspired for off the cuff. I don't know how I would do with the marketing teams, but I like it.
Well, I had to respond to your wife's gauntlet of
that was one of your best ones. I appreciate that. Good job.
Thank you.
Thought of it. But this just it shows you like it's dumb. The best part of this, the only 2 sports to make any money for the NCAA are football and men's basketball.
Yep.
That's it. And men's basketball, nobody cares about until like a month ago. As you start getting to the end of the conference season, into the conference tournaments, and into the NCAA tournament. It matters for like 6 weeks. I'm sorry, the warm American University beat Georgetown for the first time since 1990, whatever, and outside of American University, nobody cared back in November. Literally nobody cared, right? It only matters for 6 weeks, but this is why it matters. And if you go to a big conference grouping, which the people are talking about, it's going to completely destroy everything. Oh, and just by the way, most of these big conferences aren't doing that well. Thank God UCLA played Northwestern in the Big Ten yesterday, because otherwise their future Big Ten rivals, Northwestern, otherwise the Pac-12 would be out entirely. It's just that all these big conferences just don't have the teams anymore. So it's completely wide open. I think Houston's going to win the whole thing, in my opinion, and they got their butts scared twice at this point. So we'll see what goes forward. But yeah, just the idea of the big conferences splitting off and doing their own thing is a bad idea, and this is just proving it.
Well, we know why they're doing it, or why they're floating it. Yeah, well, same reason. It's no different than the Super League.
100%. It is a Super League.
Yeah, no different.
Yeah, and the Super League only got floated when a whole bunch of American businessmen bought a whole bunch of European soccer teams. Like, it's very strange because like Europe is much more socialist, but their sports leagues are very capitalist. America is much more capitalist, and our sports leagues are much more socialist. Except for baseball.
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. But yes,
we have salary caps. We have redistribution of wealth to teams.
Okay,
people over the cap.
Okay, but here's some way. No, like in Europe, for example, the only reason why women's basketball is able to pay the Turkish league or the Russian league or why they're paying more is because they're subsidized by the government.
Okay,
so I'm just showing in some ways yes.
So no offense to women's Turkish basketball. Does that have a major effect on the sports view of Europe? Europe only cares about one thing, basically.
No, I know that, but it was just like one example where
I understood, but I mean,
overall, I would agree with that, and it's also too where you've got indentured servitude. Well, now they can at least make money off their likeness,
right? Yeah,
but that's only a recent change.
So, all right, so let me go to the ugly here. what can I say about the U.S. men's national team coaching situation that hasn't been said about Afghanistan? So everything we learn about the Greg Berhalter, Claudio Reyna fighting thing that's been going on just makes everybody look pettier and pettier and pettier. Reyna has gone from being one of the greatest players in American sports history and one of the people we think of most fondly back from 90, 94, 98 teams. Like he was the adult on that 98 team where John Harkes was sleeping with his teammates, wives. To now being like the ultimate soccer mom. Like my son didn't play in a game, and because he didn't play in a game, I'm going to let all the dirty laundry I know out, which I'm not sure how this helps Gio Reyna in any way, shape, or form, but we have the text messages he sent back and forth saying our entire family is disgusted, angry, and done with you guys. Don't expect nice comments from any of our family about U.S. soccer. I'm being transparent to you, not like the political clown show of the Federation. Like, just his son sat for a World Cup game. Won.
Mm-hmm.
Going scorched earth over one World Cup game. Now, granted, Greg Berhalter doesn't come out like a bed of roses there either. Taking the situation that he had with his wife aside when they were in college, which apparently, again, I'm not condoning anything. He's not condoning it either. They went through counseling. They worked through it. They've been married for 30 plus years with no other incidents, and everything seems to be fine, right? But like being super immature, telling the kid like, hey, by the way, you're not going to play because I don't like the way, like, you're not mature enough to handle this. It turns out he's probably right, but that's not the way to handle it either. You know what I mean? Like telling someone up front and just like killing their confidence for everything. Just that's not the way to handle either. And Greg Berhalter is on record saying he's not my favorite coach.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't deserve the crap show they're going through. But here's the thing. While all this is going on, we don't currently have a coach. This weekend is the international break. This upcoming weekend is the international break in soccer because they're qualifying matches for the European Championship. So all the European teams are starting their qualifying campaigns for Europe. A lot of teams have stuff off, so the U.S. is going to be playing a game. I don't remember who it's against. But there's no coach. We don't have a permanent coach. Oh, and by the way, the person who made that decision to hire the coach also doesn't exist. And the person who makes the decision to hire the person who would hire the coach also doesn't exist. And there's no urgency to get any of this crap done. The World Cup is coming up in 3.5 years at this point, mm-hmm. right? We're hosting it. Don't you want to have somebody in charge know what the heck they're doing? And they're not
co-hosting.
We are co-hosting. That is true. By the way, on the plus side, they did officially determine that they are going to do 104 games as opposed to just 80, which was one of the dumbest ideas of all time, where they're going to have 16 groups of 3. So team A plays team B, team B plays team C, and then A and C play, and they don't need to, they can just tie if they need to and not even do anything.
So it's going to be groups of 4 then.
The groups of 4.
Okay, I like it.
They're going to do groups of 4, so top 2 from each group will qualify, and then the top 8 of the next third place teams. So they'll go from 48 to 32 by eliminating last place teams and the worst 4 third place teams, which is fine. But we don't have anyone in charge. There's literally no one in charge, and when they're meeting to apparently make that decision.
I guess not for a while.
They're meeting to apparently make the decision to hire the person who can hire the person who can hire the person in June.
Why is there no sense of urgency here?
I have no fucking clue. Like, we're on the precipice of literally everyone will be able to watch these games. When they're overseas, people can't watch them live. They can't take time off, whatever. They're literally going to be in everyone's backyard, except here in Chicago because our outgoing mayor decided she didn't want them here. That's a whole nother story. But like
it doesn't surprise me, but
yeah, Lori Lightfoot has the incredible ability to have all Republicans and all Democrats hate her at the same time. It's amazing what she did in a mere 4 years.
There you go. This unifying presence your country has needed for a long time.
100%. Everyone hates Lori Lightfoot. So unfortunately, it looks like they're about to elect somebody who I think is going to be very bad for the city, but just because he's not Lori Lightfoot, but we'll see. And the guy he's running against is like 33 years old and is not as good a speaker as he needs to be to become mayor at 33 years old. Yeah, but this whole thing is a complete and utter mess. They need to get on this. The coach we need is available. He is available now. Right? Although there was something that what's his name? French, oh my god, his name just went out of my head. French Thierry Henry turned down the opportunity to coach a women's national team in France. And the rumor was that because he wanted to coach the US national team, which would be interesting. But I want Jesse Marsh. He was the coach of Leeds. He hasn't been rehired yet. I think he's waiting for the opportunity. He's brought a team, the only American coach ever to bring a team the Champions League quarterfinals. He's available. Get him. But we can't have anyone can make the decision.
I don't know. There's no logical reason I can think of why that would happen, especially in a World Cup hosting cycle. And I'm trying to think like when we had our issues here at Hockey Canada and someone had to sort of like get the boot justifiably, that person was replaced pretty damn quick.
Was it Pierre Turgeon?
What's that?
Was it Pierre
Turgeon? It was not Pierre Turgeon. It was not Pierre Turgeon. Well, he was asked, but he wouldn't leave the bench. Thank you. Thank you.
Also, Scottie Pippen was asked. He wouldn't leave the bench.
But he wouldn't leave the bench. Yeah, we could go on and on with that one, I'm sure. Yeah, Roberto Duran was asked, but he couldn't answer the bell.
Oh, wow. Man, I need to get you in the morning when you're drinking your green wine or whatever that is.
Actually, well, I'll ask right now. Honey, what was that green thing? What was in that?
Kale and strawberries.
Kale and strawberries. I had a smoothie. So it was kale, strawberries, and yogurt. My wife making a rare audio appearance on the Hall of Fame show.
The true brains behind our operation.
It sure as hell isn't me.
Anyway, all right, so let's just get out of here with the good.
Okay.
I want to praise somebody who I think should be, when she is eligible, a first ballot inductee into our U.S. Hall of Fame. That's Michaela Schifrin, who won her 21st Grand Slalom title on Sunday. So with the most giant slalom victories in the history of the sport, she had been tied with Vreni Schneider, the legendary Swiss skier, who had 20. But she's won 7 of the last 8 events and took the giant slalom title last month. By the way, the overall record. What?
Well, she's on fire. I mean, like 100%. That's like one of the, and I was reading a bit about that too. That's one of the greatest seasons ever. And Remy Schneider, for a lot of people who don't know, like that's rarefied air. Just how 100%. Good she was. You probably 100%. Still.
It was her 138th World Cup podium as well as winning that, which moved her ahead of the world record previously held by Lindsey Vonn of 137. So there's basically their only record she can aim for at this point. By the way, the most record for most giant slalom wins was Ingemar Stenmark, and the men's side won 46 of them in the 70s and 80s.
Another massive name.
Yeah. But yeah, she has the record for most giant slalom wins. She has the record for most podiums. She also has the record for most career wins in women's skiing at 88. So she's extending her own record. She's had that for a while. There's nothing she hasn't done. And this is one of her best seasons ever, obviously. It's actually not. She has 2 points more. And there's a complex rating system in skiing. It's her best by 2 points, but she had 31 races this year. When she broke her previous record, she only had 26 races. So I'd say the other one is probably slightly better. But she's at the absolute utter top of her game. She, as someone who did ski race, and I'm not going to pretend I was anywhere close to as good as, I wouldn't have been on the same mountain as Michaela Schifrin. But like, she's only 28 years old. she can do this for another 3-4 years. And the early 30s, your knees just aren't the same. They just aren't from skiing. But just, it's absolutely insane how good she is. And the best in the world at her sport, maybe ever. I mean, you can make arguments because of the way things were back in the day with fewer events and different things or whatever. She's in that conversation. There are very few people who are in that conversation who are currently going. She's 100% in that conversation. On the Mount Rushmore of women skiing, if there is such a thing. And just congratulations to and continued success to one of the greatest athletes this country's ever produced.
All right, love it. That's a great way to end. So just promote a couple things here. Again, we'll vote now, www.nothinghalloffame.com/USA for the USA athletes of, or the greatest American athletes really ever.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing else like it.
Correct. We looked.
Yeah. Yes, we looked.
And we trademarked.
Yes, we did.
The closest they came was United States Astronauts Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
So closest they came with. That,
yes, but I don't think Buzz Aldrin will qualify for this one.
Probably not.
Moonwalking is an actual sport, but then somebody would give it to Michael Jackson, even though technically he never walked on the moon. That's a flaw. But anyway.
But did Buzz Aldrin ever moonwalk on the moon? He's more bounced.
Yeah, I guess so. There's that too. Moon bounced. Wait, Michael Jackson's been lying this whole time. Fraud.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing he's ever done.
Yeah, I just had to joke. I let slide. Like in mind. Yeah, he's been lying. So he's been lying in state. So anyway.
Oh wow.
Oh,
never mind.
I did it for you. So let's get out of here before I get canceled.
There you go.
So,
that's usually supposed to be me who does that. Now that I'm back from a bit of a hiatus, so shows have been recorded or in the can and will be coming out soon. We just recorded another episode of How the Hell Did This Go #1, where we looked at Harper Valley PTA.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Which the most interesting thing is
definitely the best rock song about local government.
Yeah, sure. There's actually a sequel to that, believe it or not. Yeah, where she returns back to but now she's like now she's really upset that the PTA is not doing enough to stop all the smoking and philandering of the kids.
Okay.
Yeah, that did as well as you think it did.
Yeah, it's like Convoy 2 or Caddyshack 2 or.
Well, look, think of Convoy 2. Only they're working with the cops.
Oh.
Or Caddyshack 2, and then the good guys are the actual country club people. So even worse.
Pigpen, this is Rubber Duck. We got Smokies on our side. We got to help them track down this fugitive and box him.
Absolutely. That's about as I can't put it better than that. Also, actually, this is now already on the YouTube channel. Vinny's made another case for it, and Vinny makes a Hall of Fame case for it, and it's perfect timing because he looked at Max Zlotski, and who's a veteran candidate for the Basketball Hall of Fame, and somebody who a lot of you are clearly are big fans of because he's got one of the highest vote percentages of anyone on Mountain Hall of Fame. So.
Yeah, we talked about him a few months ago.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
Months ago. That's a case I hear 100% of the time.
Yeah,
that seems like a massive oversight to me. Because there's something you're like, oh yeah, that guy's probably a Hall of Famer. I feel like he's a massive oversight for the Basketball Hall of Fame, particularly with the way their eligibility requirements are, and like who gets in and who doesn't. Like he's significantly better than a whole bunch of people already in.
Absolutely. So we look at that one, and so that was another good show that's already up on the YouTube channel. And tomorrow night, I'm finally going to get back to the retro football review, where Paul Lawrence and I we're going to look at Super Bowl III. Don't tell me who wins, but I hear it's pretty important. I know that Joe Namath has promised something. I don't know whether it was to me or Susie Kobler. I got to look that up, but.
Well, he promised something. He only wanted to do something with Susie Kobler.
Well, that's true. Yes. No, he guaranteed something. Yeah,
he did. He guaranteed that he would be the last quarterback sunbathing with a fur coat.
I mean, he's no Johnny Unitas. Then, oh, that's a haircut you could set your watch to. And that'll be the last Simpsons reference of the day. So with that, wherever you are, wherever you may be, stay safe, everybody.
Take care, guys.